For some reason, I cannot find my 16 gig SD card, so I'm shooting this on 2 gig, which means I have like 10 minutes to get everything that I want to say in, which is stressful because there's a lot to say on this topic. Just something you should know about me, I'm very open about my bodily functions, and I am not afraid to get very detailed on this topic, so if you don't like hearing about periods, why are you here? But just so you know, I might get, not like obnoxiously graphic, but like, I'm going to tell you what you need to know. So I am 19 years old, I'm a freshman in college, and a few months ago, I used a tampon for the first time. Yeah, it was really embarrassing to be a legal adult and have never used a tampon before just because I was scared. I mean, it's a scary thing to do, and I'm staring at a piece of cat poop right now. I'm gonna have to clean that up later, aren't I? I know a lot of people are afraid of tampons because of the whole toxic shock thing, but I was really scared of the string breaking. I had like this mental image in my head of like pulling on the string and it breaking and then the tampon being stuck inside me forever, so I just never used one. But it was really hard because like everybody has those moments where they're in school and their period comes and they don't have anything with them and they ask their friends like, hey, I just got my period, can you help me out? And their friends are like, yeah, here's a tampon. And if you're someone like me who'd never used one, you were like, thanks, because like you didn't want to say no to them, but like you knew you weren't going to use it, and then you'd like go to the bathroom and try to like make a pad out of toilet paper, and it just never worked. So I was in my freshman year of college, and I was like, you know what, I'm just doing it. I can't live my life like this anymore. First off, there's a lot of ways that you can like try to learn how to do it, but I think the only way to really do it is to just go for it, which is what nobody wants to hear. I didn't want to hear that, but I finally had to just do it. There was this American Girl doll book called The Carekeeping of You that literally had like drawn out diagrams of like a girl putting in a tampon, and like I guess that helps, but like a diagram isn't the real thing, you know? What I always wanted was a literal video of a real person putting a real tampon into their real vagina, like blood coming out and all. Because you need the real vision, you know? And I know that obviously that would get flagged on YouTube. There has to be like some porn stars out there who are willing to make a video of themselves putting a damn tampon in. And just like put it somewhere. I don't know, maybe it exists and I never saw it. But I feel like that would be very helpful. In my freshman year biology class, we watched a video of a live childbirth that had a vagina in it, right? Like why can't a health class show girls a video of a real person putting in a real tampon? I think that would be helpful. All I wanted was a real life video of what a real vagina looked like, because let me tell you, no matter how much you think you know your vagina, until you really look at it, you ain't know what's going on there. Which is really what prepared me the most, was just looking at my vagina. But like, you need to know what's going on down there, and for a while I was like, oh, like, I don't have a hand mirror, so I can't really look down there, and I was like, should I use my phone? But like, I'm really terrified of people like hacking into it, so I was like, I don't have a mirror that size, I can't do it. So if you need to look at your vagina for the first time, use one of these puppies. This is makeup, I'm not telling you to powder your vagina, but all of these little compacts have a mirror. If you need to like steal it from your mom or your sister, steal it, just make sure you take this thing out first, because it'd be really awkward if they were like, what happened to my powder thing? And you would be like, it fell in the toilet while I was looking at my vagina. Like, nobody wants to have that conversation. Let me tell you, I thought I knew what mine looked like, but when I got a mirror down there, my mind was blown, okay? So, step one to putting in a tampon for the first time, just look at it. And once I did that, I didn't feel ready to go, but I was more prepared than before, if that makes any sense. And I did it when my roommate was not home, because I didn't want her to be like, why has Becky been in the bathroom for 40 minutes? Because it really does take time. You know, you just gotta breathe, you gotta have a moment where you're like, I'm not ready, but I'm gonna do it anyway. You know, because you're never gonna be at the point where you're like, I'm 100% prepared. You're just not. So you just have to do it. And for the first few seconds that I was pushing it in, I was like, is that even the hole? Like, I don't think I have it. I don't think it's in a hole. But then it started disappearing, and I was like, oh, that's gotta be a hole, because that's going somewhere. And I was in. And let me tell you, I have never, ever been more proud of myself. Like, I got up, I danced around, I was like, there's a tampon in my vagina. I'm not gonna lie to you, people say that you can't feel them at all. I've never worn one to the point where I can't feel it at all. Like, you'll sneeze and you'll feel it shift, or like, you'll do a move and you'll feel it. But it's obviously better than a pad, because those feel like diapers. Another thing that I was so happy to learn before I put one in was to never, ever remove a dry tampon, because that hurts so much. However, I got a really messed up flow. I don't know about you guys, but I recently started birth control, so hopefully this will improve. Also, side note, I have had one period so far on birth control. I'm still getting used to it, but the amount of cramps that I had was life-changing. I used to be on the floor dying because of my cramps, and because of birth control, I like had a stomach ache. That was it. Like, it was amazing. If you're not on birth control because you're like afraid to ask your mom because she'll like think you want to have sex, there are so many other reasons to get on it. Just give yourself some help and do it, because I always had such an irregular period. And one of the parts of it that was irregular was when I would get it, day one of my period would be like the frickin' Red Sea. Like, it would just be coming and coming and coming. And then because so much left on the first day, the other few days would be like, bloop, and that was it for the whole day. So how this conflicts with using a tampon is on the first day, it would just slide right out of me. Like, we're good to go after like 2 hours. But on the other day, since I would have like 2 drops of blood all day, the tampon would never get soaked through, even if I used the lightest size, you know? So you're stuck removing a dry tampon then, which is just, I mean, you don't have to describe it. Just imagine a dry hunk of cotton trying to leave your vagina. It's not fun. So if your period, like mine, where day one is a flood and the other days are a drizzle, maybe just use it on day one. But now that I'm on birth control, I think it's going to be a little bit more regular, hopefully. But those are my biggest pieces of advice for first-time tampon users. If you don't have a mirror and you've never really looked down there, like, I'm not talking like, oh, that's a vagina. I'm talking like, you got to get in there, okay? Like, don't like dive in, but you know what I mean. Like, you need to know what's happening down there, or how are you ever going to put something inside of that? Know your flow. If you know you're going to have not a lot that day, you don't want your first time removing a tampon to be one that isn't totally saturated. So also, leave it in long enough to get saturated. And when you can see like blood on the string part, that means that it's like coming out a little bit, or like just 6 hours is safe, I think. The biggest thing I can say is to just do it. Let me tell you, as someone who was scared for like 6 years, I got my period when I was 13, and for 6 years I just used pads because I was scared. And there comes a time when you're going to use a tampon just because you're tired of being scared, and because you hate that pads feel like diapers, and because everyone else around you is using tampons and you're like, what's wrong with me? There's no shame if you're not ready yet. There is no shame at all. I just got to a point where I was ready. Just because you're ready doesn't mean you're not nervous, you know? If you're like, I'm not going to do it just because I'm so nervous, there's never going to be a time when you're not nervous. Your first time putting in a tampon is scary. You're going to be scared. But if you just take a few deep breaths, it doesn't matter if you're on the toilet for an hour, take whatever time you need and just go for it. And it's going to feel weird at first, it's going to feel foreign at first, but it is so exciting when you finally get that sucker in you. I brought this with me because I didn't know if I'd need to like do an example. I feel like I can't make a tampon video without having a tampon in it, right? Should I swatch my tampon? Oh wow! Oh wow! See, doesn't this look like it would break? Well, let me tell you, it doesn't. I use U by Kotex because I like the colors, and that's it. I think before I even got my period, my older sister taught me how to like shoot a tampon out. So I never had any questions on like how to apply it because she taught me this. I don't know if it'll work anymore, but let me try. You gotta get it hard, like. If you ever want to have a tampon war with someone, that's a lot of fun. Let's test my fear. Let's see if we can break the string. This is actually exciting. Why did I never do this before? I felt it move a little bit, but it's not. Oh, shit. I just hurt my finger, you guys. You guys, they knew what they were doing when they built these strings. Okay, so let me tell you. If you're like me and you're scared about the string breaking, it moved from like, it's not going to focus on the string, whatever. From like there to there, the string came out of the tampon. So if you're pulling on a string and you think it's about to come out, there is a little bit of give in here. But at this point it's at now, it's not breaking. So I hope that you guys use whatever makes you happy. I will see you guys next time. Good luck with your vaginas.